advantage. What's up, Olivia? All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining me for another episode of Reflect and Grow. I am your host, Vaughn Michael. This is Reflect and Grow, where we come each week here to reflect, we grow, and we laugh. I'm so excited to be here with y'all today, man. Today's gonna be dope. We talking about sobriety, recovery. One of my favorite things to talk about. We got licensed therapist Brenda Joy. She's gonna be joining us in a second. Before we get into topics, I just want to thank everybody that came out this week. I had a show in where was that? I was in Virginia, McLean, Virginia, at the Cigar Bar. Super dope show. Had a great time. So that was fantastic. This weekend coming up, I will be in Maryland. I have a poolside comedy party. If you're in the area, please come out for that. That should be so much fun. Other than that, man, I'm excited about today's topic. Today we're talking about sobriety, recovery. You know me, I've been sober for about 6 years now. It went by fast. I started in the pandemic. I didn't think I was gonna last this long. Somebody was telling me I should get sober and stop. I was on tour and they was like, yo, if you wanted to, have a long touring career, you probably should stop drinking every night. And I decided to do that. The pandemic was great because I actually was thinking about personally going to rehab right before the pandemic. Like I was like literally thinking about stop getting off the road. And I was like, yo, I'm just going to like not work the road for a little bit, go to rehab. Because when I had got to New York, I had moved to New York in like 2020, and I didn't realize how easy it was to become an alcoholic. Like it's so super easy. Like my thing was, I was like, yo, I'm gonna just drink every night I get on stage to help with my nerves. But I was getting on stage 6 nights a week, and then after like 6 months, I'm like, yo, I think I might be an alcoholic. And I was like, yo, I'm not an alcoholic. Let me not drink tonight. And I was like, this is gonna be easy. And it was hard. Like I was like really battling, like, oh my God, like it was like a temptation. Like I wanted to drink, and I felt that pull. And at that moment I realized like it was like, oh, I had some problems. And I was smoking, grass at that time as well. So I was having panic attacks, man. And like they was heavy, super heavy. And I remember the guy at the thing, because one of my fears, I was like, man, if I stay down this road, I think I'm gonna get to like harder stuff. And then the guy that was at the hospital, I went to the hospital like twice a week with panic attacks, and he was like, your subconscious is talking to you. He was like, man, I wish I had listened to my subconscious. He told me like he was on hard drugs for years, and he's sober now, but what I went through, he definitely did not do that. So luckily, I didn't have to stop touring. Like the pandemic happened, and it was like I wasn't touring. I was at home, and I had stayed with my mom for a little bit, so I had like time to like focus on getting sober, and it was pretty dope, man. I'm so glad I did it. Now that I look back on it, it was one of the greatest things I felt like that I ever did. It was hard at first, but as the weeks went past, I just started doing healthier things. I worked out. That same time I had lost like 50 pounds. So like as soon as I went sober, I started focusing on working out. I was journaling. I went to therapy. So it was just like an overall healthy experience. So I'm excited because today we do have a very special guest. You saw her last week. We talked about childhood trauma. She's back this week. Licensed therapist Brenda Joy. She's in the building. Brenda, are you there? Can you hear? Can you see us?
I sure can.
Okay. What's going on? How you doing?
Doing pretty good. I had a small surgery Friday, so just recovering.
Oh man, and the surgery went well.
Yeah, it's just a medical battery that they were replacing for a spinal cord stimulator. So we'll see if it works.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you being a soldier and still doing this despite what's going on with you. We really do appreciate you.
And thank you for inviting me. I really enjoy what you do and how you're helping people.
Thank you. And you see in the chat, Lux said, we love Brenda.
Oh,
She
thank you.
That's crazy. She don't show me love. She show you more love than she showed
That's
me, and I
right.
know that. This is a great conversation because when I talked to you, I asked you because we had you on earlier before, and I was like, "What do you specialize in?" And you was like recovery, and I was like, "Oh, this is so dope to have you on for this type of conversation." So, um, can you just give your background to the people that's first time watching? Thank you, Toon Toon. Say glad you're well. First time people that's watching, can you just give a background for those and people who are also going to be listening to this on Thursday?
Oh, sure. I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Missouri. I've been practicing over 20 years, and I worked and lived right outside a military base. So I had like real country Ozark kind of families as well as military families from all over the world. So a very diverse population, you could say. I really enjoyed it. Now I'm semi-retired because of some of my disabilities. So I work from home and I really enjoy that a lot better. It's a lot less stressful and I can connect more with what I'm doing. I personally have post-traumatic stress disorder from the military. And yes, I have used alcohol in ways that I had to do my own sobriety journey because alcohol is very elusive. We think it's a great coping tool and it's not. I also do storytelling and comedy, thanks to Armed Services and the Arts Partnership. It's a great nonprofit that if you were in the military or your spouse or your cousin's mother's uncle's sister, you can take these classes for free online or in person. And I did the stand-up comedy because I wanted to improve my speaking skills, but then I fell in love with stand-up comedy.
Yeah. So stand up comedy is one of those things that it is very, very addictive. Once you do it, I tell people all the time, like everybody, the fear of public speaking is like they say it's like the number one fear. But after you do stand up comedy, like I don't think nobody's stopping after that. So welcome to the other side. Ben says, what up? Not at this time. We got some structure going on, but please, if you want to share something in the chat, please write it and we'll read it out loud for you. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with our interview portion. I got some questions for Brenda here. So first question is, what does sobriety mean to you?
Sobriety to me means learning how to live without using a substance to alter your mood or to avoid living. So you're in better alignment with yourself. You're learning how to move through feelings versus staying stuck or avoiding, and just making healthier choices that help you grow as a person and have better relationships.
Gotcha. Okay. And what are some common misconceptions people have about addiction and recovery?
That you have to hit rock bottom. That's not true. Early intervention is the best intervention before you have all the long-term damage to yourself and the people around you. People sometimes believe addiction is a choice. Not always. I mean, it comes from trauma, genetics, environment, maybe a brain injury, because people with brain injuries very commonly also have addictions. Recovery is just linear. That's not true. There's a lot of bumps and bruises. There's a lot of give and take, and it's hard because you really have to face yourself and do things that you have been avoiding or not understanding what you need to do. And relapse does not mean failure. Relapse is what is the clue. It's like almost like you're a detective. What did I do? What caused the relapse? Let's look at the clues and work on those things. People relapse 2 to 5 times before they are sober.
2 to 5 times before they're sober?
Yes.
Wow.
And you can be sober for a year or two, and then something from the past might trigger you, or you might be in a traumatic event or something, and all of a sudden, boom, you relapse. I mean, it happens.
Wow. Okay, I did not know that. Um, so my question for you, next question is, what are some signs that someone may have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol or substances?
What are the signs? I would say you're putting alcohol in front of your friends and your family, your job, and you're losing friendships because of it, or you're making choices that I don't want to think, or I don't want to feel, or so you drink to numb yourself, and you have nights where you have blackouts and you don't remember what happened, getting DUIs. So there's a lot of consequences to it, and you're shrinking your life and your environment so you don't have to answer to people. You know, maybe you're not doing hobbies like you used to.
Okay, so your overall life will start to change, and people will start to notice that around you.
Well, yes, or you'll just acclimate with people that are addicted too, because you don't have to answer to them like you would other people. You know, what do they say? Birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Yo, why all your friends look like?" Okay, yeah, yeah, I can definitely do that. Um, why is it often so difficult for people to ask for help?
I think it's hard because you have to say you feel like you feel like you're saying there's something wrong with you, which is not accurate. It's about what you can make right, not what is wrong with you, and you feel vulnerable too, because when you don't know if you can trust the people you're opening up to or asking for help from. Maybe not how they don't know how to get help or where to get help, or they don't have access. You know, if you don't have insurance, or if you don't have much to money to live on and you're barely getting by, do you have time to be paying for therapy, or going inpatient and not working? I mean, there's a lot of obstacles.
Mm. Okay, yeah, because you need to change it. So you need to change your environment when you're trying to go through something like this.
Definitely. And I will say you will lose friends, because if they're not ready to get sober and you're working in your sobriety, you're going to make them uncomfortable.
Okay.
So you may have to have a new group of friends on top of that.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So that's something somebody should be prepared for, is that if you are choosing a sober life, that you probably will have, because we talked about this last week, when you enter therapy, you probably lose friends. So that's the same thing when you choose sobriety as well.
I really believe it's just, and they don't even, it's not so overt. And I don't think they really know what they're doing. They just know that you're changing and they're not ready to. So sometimes it's better to make you the enemy or somebody they don't want to be with than to say, hey, how can I change with you, or how can I support it? Because, you know, they have their own struggles. I'm not trying to put them down. I'm just saying they have their own struggles and they may not be able to see what it is. It just makes them uncomfortable is all they know.
Right. And everybody's ready on their own timeline.
Yeah. Like one of my friends, I remember she said, oh, now you think you're better than me? No, I just don't want to drink every day, you know?
I would say, no, I don't think I know. No, I'm just joking. We don't say that to people. But yeah, I saw that, other people insecurities will pop out when you are starting to grow. And what do you do when that happens? You see somebody, that's your friend, you love them, and they start becoming like that towards you. Like, how, and you're a professional opinion, like, how would you tell somebody to handle that?
Well, there are a few ways to handle it, but basically just give them their space. Because maybe by watching your self growth, you might encourage them to have some self growth. And if you do lose them as a friend, it's okay. You might go through a grieving process because it is a loss. Or maybe you are going to turn down the volume on the relationship. Like you still have a relationship, but maybe just not the same.
Got you. Okay. All right. So you're setting boundaries. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so you said grieving process, right? So that to the next question, what does the recovery process actually look like? And is grief in that part of the recovery process?
Oh, I would think so. You know, the stages of grief, denial. I don't have a problem, right? And then plea bargaining. Oh, well, I'll just drink less and then maybe things will get better, And then what is it? Make asking God, that is one of the steps, and then acceptance. Oh, anger is always one of them. Like, why should I have to change who I am? I'm fine. Well, meanwhile, your whole world is crumbling around you, and maybe you're losing your job, or you lost your job, or you have a DUI, or your spouse or your significant other doesn't even know how to communicate with you because they don't know what mood you're going to be in according to what you're drinking and how much.
Right.
Because I think when we're really in the depths of alcoholism or substance abuse, we lie. We lie to ourselves, we lie to our friends, we lie to our families.
Gotcha. So I just want to make sure I understand. So somebody right now, they say, I want to get sober. What would you say is the very first step right now? They just like, it's tonight. I'm ready to do this. What's the very first thing they need to do?
be realistic. It doesn't happen overnight. It's going to be a long, slow process if you do it right. It's just like weight loss. If you lose weight fast, you're going to gain it fast. We're asking you when you're going sober to change negative patterns, start to learn how to feel and regulate your emotions. I would say reach out. There's lots of places you can go online for AA, or even Reddit has sobriety groups. Facebook has some sobriety groups. Do some research and find what fits you, because not everybody likes AA. Not everybody likes Reddit. And Dr. Daniel Ammon, I mentioned him a lot. He has a lot of research and information, because I think if you realize when you read about it and read the research and realize, wow, my brain shrinks. Wow, my brain will override what I want. Oh, I can get cancer. Oh, these things. I mean, it has a lot of bad side effects. It's a depressant, ironically, even though it's our go-to for having fun society wise.
So when you become sober, that's something that you immediately have to do is learn how to regulate your emotions.
Yeah, because that's kind of what alcohol. It's like the bad boyfriend or the bad girlfriend, right? You just think that they can make all these choices for you, and life will be better. But no, alcohol is often used to avoid processing trauma or feelings in general, or to we think it's helping us with our anxiety. It's not, because we're not working on it. We're just avoiding it.
Okay. All right. Um, so my next question for you, what role do support systems play in recovery?
Support systems are very important, because you have to be able to have other areas to challenge your negative thinking, because your brain is addicted when you're really in deep with alcohol or substance abuse. So you need friends that are going to challenge you and motivate you, or family members that are supportive and understand that sometimes you're going to relapse, or maybe you're going to have a messy day, and you can pick up the phone and call them, or maybe a support group online, like I said, or something. But yeah, you need external help. I mean, we are wired to be with each other. We have mirror neurons, which are from when we were cave people, because when we were in a tribe, we survived. If we were alone, our mortality rate shot up, and we still carry that with us. We need other people in our lives to thrive.
Okay. And is there like a minimum amount of people, like when it comes to support system, or is that not a thing at all? Like when people say, they say like, man, I need a support system, and some say, I don't even know what a support system look like. Like, is there like a certain amount of people that, is what a support system is?
I'm not aware of a particular number, but I think at least one, right? Because you could have a lot of people, but are they really supporting you? Maybe if you have that one or two core people, maybe they've been through it and they're just a little bit ahead of you in the recovery process, and they can reach behind and grab you. It doesn't have to be a whole, you know, stadium of people. It could just be a few people, and it could be, and it doesn't have to be just people. Like my service dog, he's a great support, emotional support for me.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be people. What is it? So support. Is there anything else that could be part of your support system that's not human?
I would say I think people are leaning on AI. I wouldn't recommend it though, because it may not be programmed in the way that we need. I don't think it's there yet on that, but it can give you a lot of information about sobriety, about your health choices and stuff. You could use it as a manager or something. Therapy animals, cats, hamsters. I mean, if you feel a connection to something that makes you feel better, that's support.
Okay. In the chat, Luck says, yes, love my emotional support dog. Heart. Okay. Last question for you for this part of the segment. What advice would you give someone who wants to get sober but feels overwhelmed by the process?
Break it down to small pieces. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
could always reach out to me. You know,
One bite at a time. Yes, my mom used to tell me that all the time.
yeah.
Eat up one bite at a time.
And when we were young, we'd roll our eyes, ugh, whatever. But now it makes sense, right?
Hmm. Dope. All right. Well, I'm so glad we were able to do that part of 7. So now I'm going to go ahead and bring up my buddy Jelani. Jelani, you there?
Hey, yeah, how you guys doing?
Hey,
Good, good.
Jelani.
Hey,
Are you cameraing up, Jelani?
man, I'm old, Vaughn. I really don't realize. I try to turn my camera on, but I just can't figure it out.
Hold on.
Can't turn camera on.
Oh, you don't have access to okay. I think it might be the file account or something like that. So no worries.
Okay.
Lux is laughing at you. um well, Jelani, anybody that's listening and watching, comedian out of Washington, DC, I asked him to join today. Because Jelani is what we call Brenda, have you heard of Cali sober?
Yes, I have.
I, I hate these guys. I seriously hate these guys. Like with love, because I was at the doctor, and now doctors they have to like I think you got to have 100 doctors. Like I told her I was sober, and she had to ask me deeper questions. Like saying I was sober wasn't good enough because of the Cali sober people. So now I gotta explicitly explain I do not do drugs or alcohol. Lux said, "What is Cali sober?" These are people who's um, consuming grass, but they do not drink. Like grass is the only thing that they do. So Jelani has been Cali sober for 2 months, which is very very big. So I asked him to come on here today. That's been part of his journey, and we're gonna get into some Reddit stories and stuff like that. Jelani, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, man.
All right, cool. So I want to read this Reddit story. It says, "Realizing I have a problem." So it says, as the title says, I'm realizing I have a severe problem with drinking. I don't remember the last time I had a day where I haven't drank in at least 5 months. I woke up, have a drink, I go to work with drinks in my water bottle. I buy booze after work, stay up until 4 a.m. drinking despite living alone and having work in the morning. I don't know what to do. I feel really ashamed of myself. I'm slacking in college, spending way too much money on booze. I don't know what to do. How do I slow down? How do I stop? Any advice is welcome. Um, so my question for you, Brenda, after just reading this, why is admitting there's a problem often one of the hardest steps in recovery?
Because for some reason, society has deemed you weak if you say it because you're not strong enough to do it on your own.
Mhm.
And I grew up, well, I was born in Brooklyn, but I grew up in Montana. Talk about a culture shock there. I grew up in an environment where every day was a drinking holiday. And the only way you felt like you belonged is if you were drinking back then. So maybe he's afraid of losing friendships or, being alone in it, or he just is afraid of admitting that what he sees as a weakness, which it's not. It's a strength to be able to talk about it and to do something. It takes a strong person to do that. And there's lots of people that want to help and give you mutual support in those areas.
Yes, yes. Jelani, we just read that. My question for you: do you think someone can change before they hit rock bottom, or do you think most people need a wake up call?
No, I think you can definitely change before you hit rock bottom. I will say rock bottom probably looks different for a lot of people. Um, like I had a girlfriend a long time ago who told me it's like I need you to choose between me or grass, and I didn't really like her at the time, so I said I choose grass. In reality, like I didn't choose the grass, I just rejected the ultimatum. And to some people, that would seem like a rock bottom. It's like you chose a substance over a relationship, and it was just I reflect now, and it was just like if it was my wife was to ask me something like that, of course I would choose my wife. But I think when sometimes when people make the decision for you, that can't be your rock bottom. That's why I would see like some of these interventions going left because people will push back against being forced to do something. It has to be their choice. So like, there's been comedians in DC who I've tried to do interventions for, and they were just like, no, like you're not better than me. You can't tell me what to do, and like you drink too. And I think I think rock bottom looks different to a lot of people. So, but I definitely think you can change without hitting the rock bottom.
Okay. And Jelani, another question for you. And your comedian, opinion. What's the difference between someone who wants help and someone who just wants sympathy?
Mm.
Someone who wants help wants wants they're reaching out and they want guidance. Someone who wants sympathy, they sometimes just want somebody to vent to. They just want somebody to lean on. That doesn't mean they're ready to change. A lot of people will complain about their job or their spouse and they'll just keep going back to them and you'll offer them solutions and everything. And it's not that they actually want a solution, they just want to vent.
Okay. So you're saying based upon if they want solutions or if they just want to stay stuck in that cycle?
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I appreciate that, Jelani. So let's go ahead and move on. Tom, thank you so much for joining us. Right now, we are going over different Reddit stories about sobriety and recovery. I have licensed therapists here, Brenda Joy and comedian Jelani. They're giving their opinion based upon what we read. So next one is called Reddit story is relapse after a long-term sobriety. For people, and this person wrote, for people who had long periods of sobriety, months or years, and then relapse, how quickly were you able to get back on track afterwards if you did? What helped you recover from the relapse? Did you return to rehab, therapy, meeting, medical support, or handle it differently? I am especially interested in experiences after long sobriety, not very early relapses. So this is what they wrote on Reddit. And Brenda, my question for you, and I feel like we kind of went over this already in our interview section, but why can relapse happen even after years of sobriety?
Yeah, we did. We talked about that. It could be trauma. Maybe you lost your home. Maybe you're homeless. It's something that interrupted your peace, basically, and pulled the rug from underneath you. Because, sobriety is a daily challenge. And the key to staying sober is having that mental health toolkit to be able to predict some change if you can, or move through things better. Because you have to learn to stop being angry at everything and pushing it away. You have to learn how to move through things. But if things keep piling up on you that it just blindsided you, it can interrupt your sobriety for sure.
Gotcha. And Jelani, question for you. Um, a second. So, Jelani, if someone relapses after years of sobriety, should people focus on the relapse or all the progress that came before it?
I guess it depends on how bad the relapse is, because like if you like take somebody out in a DUI, like I'm gonna focus on that. I'm not gonna be like, oh, you'll get better. I'm gonna be like, I gotta visit you in jail. But I think it does. It can. I would like to always move. I like to always move forward and to not stay stuck in the past. But I will say accountability is a big part of it. You can't just I know part of the sobriety journey is the part where you make amends. Like sometimes forgiveness does not come overnight. So I will say like if you burn some bridges, they might be a little hard to rebuild. So I will just put that caveat on it. But in my way of thinking, it's always best to move forward and to let people grow and forgive them.
And at what point do you stop giving someone chances and start protecting your own peace?
I mean, when they become a threat to my physical or mental safety, like I've had friends who um, were dangerous to myself to ourselves, and they would like try to convince me to hang out with them or drive, and they've been drinking, and it got to a point where I just had to be like, hey, um, I can't hang out with you, man, because you don't make good decisions, you know.
Gotcha. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to our next segment, which is our celebrity segment. So I'm gonna go over some different celebrities, and I just have some questions for y'all that y'all might have seen in the public, and and have certain brands and stuff like that. In the chat, Luck said, "Yup, consequences." So Snoop Dogg, y'all know who Snoop Dogg is, right?
Yes.
So, Snoop Dogg has built much of his public image around marijuana use while maintaining a highly successful career in music, business, and entertainment. Question: if a substance isn't negatively affecting someone's life, is there any reason they should stop? Brenda.
Well, that is a good question because he's made a lot of success off it. But you have to realize there's a lot of long-term health impacts. And I'm not anti-marijuana. I believe in medical marijuana, but I think long-term use of cannabis, especially if it's excessive, it can toll on you.
Okay. And what about you, Jelani?
Yeah, I definitely think that he that is his brand, and I agree with the doctor. Like that can have long term effects on you, but in some ways, you that even with his success, he's limited by that. There are some people who he probably can't work with because of that. So I don't want to. In this business, you don't want to put any limitations on yourself. So he's very successful in that. Some could argue that he could be more successful without it. So I don't know, but I will say there are some people who are just, going to be uncomfortable with that. They're going to say this is not family friendly. You can't be in the child's movie. You can't be in the family friendly movie. So, you know, that's a choice he's made. And it seems to be working out for him, but I do think that does limit some circles you can be in.
Yeah. Interesting that never thought of it like that. I hear y'all, but it's Snoop Dogg. Like, I think he can be in anything, despite. And I'm not trying to like promote or advocate for his life, but it's like it's Snoop Dogg. Um, and I guess my next question for y'all is: and I should ask this myself? Should success be used as evidence that someone's substance use isn't a problem?
No.
Brenda.
Well, you're only going to see their Facebook version. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors, because every addiction, it can get out of hand and ruin your life. I mean, maybe like Snoop Dogg, because he has so much money, he's more insulated than you or I would be, with consequences and legal issues and stuff like that.
Gotcha. And you agree, Jelani?
Yeah, I mean there are plenty of successful drug addicts, so I can't say that that's the end all be all. But I also the older I get, the more I think about being a role model for my nephews and like future children, and I'm just like, is this it? Would I exhibit behavior that I would want them to mimic? Like I remember being in high school and we would have my friends' parents. Some of them would like smoke grass with us, and I just always remember thinking this was weird. Like this isn't like a role model. This is so. And later on in life, they had other issues, but the older I get, the more I want to like model behavior that I want my children to be proud of. And if that's not something they can share in school, that's maybe you have to ask yourself a question like, is this something you should be proud of?
Gotcha. All right, so let's move on. Demi Lovato. Do y'all know who that is?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like I should have asked y'all this before we got on live. But Demi Lovato, very famous singer, has been open about addiction, relapse, recovery, and the challenges of maintaining sobriety in the public eye. We start with you, Brenda. Why do people often judge relapse more than they celebrate recovery?
Well, could you repeat that?
Uh, why do people often judge relapse more than they celebrate recovery?
Because I think there's the stigmatism that relapse equals failure. And I think when you're in the public eye and you're as famous and talented, as wonderful as Demi is, you have way more pressure because you feel like everybody's watching you. But but it's not a failure. It is just part of the journey to sobriety.
Okay. And that was actually my second question. Does public pressure make recovery harder?
Absolutely. If you feel like someone's pushing you to recover, you're gonna relapse more likely. Just
Hmm.
like Jelani was saying earlier, if someone's forcing you to do it or you're doing it for someone else, it's not going to be as successful if it ever will.
Gotcha. All right. And Jelani, question for you. If someone is genuinely trying to get better, how much grace should they be given when they struggle?
I mean, yeah, they should be given grace. They should be given grace. Um, it depends, like it could be, somebody who's co-parenting and there are children involved. There might not be as much grace there, but I think as much as you can that without, physically or that doesn't affect someone's physical or mental safety. But I remember I saw this story about this guy. He's an actor on The Bear, and he's had so much problems with substances that he has to have supervised visits with his children. And I'm like, at that point, like it's kind of hard when people don't trust you around your children. So I will say that as much grace as you can, but there are limitations to that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's move on to Matthew Perry. I know y'all pretty much know him. He was on Friends, very famous actor who passed away in 2023. Matthew, he spoke openly about his long battle with addiction, spent years helping others in recovery while continuing to work on a successful career. Giovanni, do you think someone can be successful on the outside while struggling deeply on the inside?
Of course, they're actors. They can. That's it. If they're good at their job in that role, I definitely think people are very good at masking. Um, I would say like that's how they would describe like a functional alcoholic, right? Like some people, they can drink all the time, and you don't know they have a problem. But some people, you're like, oh, they have a problem. They have a problem, and it's very apparent. But it's the people who know how to hide it that I think you have to worry about more, because they're aware they have a problem and they're hiding it, so it's harder for them to get help or to be seen as needing help.
Gotcha. Okay. And Brenda, once again, I feel like we might have covered this already earlier, but what can people do to support someone who appears to have it all together, but maybe struggling privately?
Well, you say that you think that they're struggling, but you don't know.
Yeah, they may be struggling privately.
I would definitely like. I wouldn't make it a big scene about it. I would probably do something like go to a lunch at a quiet place or somewhere where you can have a real one-on-one conversation and just say, hey, I don't know if you're going through anything, but I just feel like there's something going on, and if you need somebody to talk to, I would be open to that, providing you're a dependable person and you're not a gossip, but but just offering, or maybe just share what your struggles are at the moment to let them know that I'm struggling too, because our brain likes us to think we're the only one that has this problem and is the only person that's messing up on the whole planet, and that's not true.
Gotcha.
Whenever you go to a group therapy, which I was really surprised early on when I participated in a group therapy, I was like, wow, you think that way? Wow, you feel that way? I was convinced I was the only one that had PTSD, and I didn't even know it was PTSD. I thought that, that was what Rambo had. but it's eye opening how much we all struggle the same struggles, but we all don't realize it because we don't talk about it.
Gotcha. All right. So yeah, definitely. You'd be very surprised by how much other people are going through exactly what you're going through. And when you sometimes isolate, it can make you feel like you're the only one that's going through that thing. But you're not alone. You're not alone. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move into our next segment, which is our or nah segment. So we'll be doing today is sobriety or nah. Um, So I'm gonna give y'all a scenario, and I just want to ask y'all if y'all think it's a sobriety issue or not. We'll start with Jelani. Jelani, somebody says, I only drink on weekends, but every weekend I get blackout drunk. Is that a sobriety issue or not?
That that's definitely a sobriety issue. Blacking out. That's intense. You can do a lot when you black out. So even if it's once a week, I would say that's probably worse than like a drinking weekly. Blacking out is you putting yourself, other people at risk. Like that's yeah, that's a it's like making up for not drinking in the week on the weekend. And even my personal trainers like you can't do that. If you drink this much like on the weekend, this is gonna wipe out your gains of your working out. So yeah, that doesn't work.
I haven't looked at it like that. What about you, Brenda? Do you say that it's a sobriety issue or not?
Oh, absolutely. It's called binge drinking.
Mm, okay. And binge drinking, correct me if I'm wrong, that's just as bad as someone who drinks every day. Because binge drinking is what you drink a bunch at one moment.
Yes. And think about flooding all those chemicals on your entire body at such a high rate. You could end up in the hospital over that.
Hmm.
And if you're blackout drinking is a sign that you have an addiction.
Okay. All right. Scenario number two, Brenda, question for you. So this is scenario. They say I tell myself every Monday that I'm going to quit, but by Friday I'm drinking again. Is that a sobriety issue or not?
Yes. Broken promises. But that's kind of like saying, what if I said to you, don't think about chocolate cake for the whole week until I see you next week. I don't want you to smell chocolate, taste chocolate. I don't want you to do anything with chocolate. You're going to eat more chocolate cake than you ever ate in your whole life by the time you see me the next time.
Mm,
So if you tell yourself you're not going to do something and almost in a punitive way, you're setting yourself up for failure. Like in improv, you have yes and. That's what you need. Yes, I'm drinking right now and I'm working on it. And Dr. Ammon is famous for saying you can't just cut something off. You have to replace it with something. You need a healthy habit to replace it with. Otherwise, you're just going to find another addiction.
yeah, it's kind of like your diet. I've been meeting with my dietitian every week, and she was like, "Stop looking at it as I can't eat this versus what I can eat."
Right.
And that changed the game for me. Um, Jelani, do you agree with that sobriety issue or not?
Oh no, definitely. Like you have to you have to be accountable to yourself in that frame. So I would say it definitely is.
Okay. And at what point, Jelani, does wanting to quit become proof there's a problem?
I think when you nobody knows you better than you know yourself. Maybe your mom or your dad, but like if it's a problem or not because you're alone. You're the one looking at yourself in the mirror. You know how much you drink. People close to you could have an idea, but you know yourself the best. So if you're recognizing it, if you're making that evaluation, that's definitely a big sign.
Okay. And next scenario, Brenda. I stopped drinking, but now I spend my money on gambling, shopping, or something else instead. Is that a sobriety issue or not?
Yes, it is. Because just like I said, if you don't find something positive, you're just going to plug your addiction into something else because naturally we are addictive. It's just
Mm,
some addictions are healthy, like running and at marathons and stuff, and some are not. So it sounds like they probably have underneath, they have an issue they're not addressing, maybe childhood trauma, a traumatic event, brain injury, something that's driving the addiction part. Because the addiction is saying, I don't want to deal with my feelings. I just want to feel happy all the time. And nobody can be that way, you know?
mm,
So,
got
yeah,
you.
definitely sobriety.
Okay. And you agree, Jelani?
Yeah, definitely. If you Um, I'm sorry, Vaughn. Can you repeat the question? I was.
Yeah. So the scenario was I stopped drinking, but now I'm spending my money on gambling,
Oh
shopping,
yeah,
or
yeah.
something that's instead.
I was definitely gonna follow up with that because I remember my friends telling me about his AA thing, and he was like, "Oh, like yeah, they always." He was trying to get me to come with him. He's like, "Oh, they always have donuts," and I was like, "Hold on, like you trade alcohol for sugar? Like, I don't want to black out. I don't want diabetes either. Like, like, and those people who are like, don't talk to me till I have my coffee, and I'm just like, hold on, that's a problem. If you can't communicate in the morning without a substance, like you're not shooting up. But that caffeine and sugar, those are hell of a drugs too.
Hey, bro, I feel like you talking to me. Oh man. Me and Jelani did a road trip, and he just got healthy. And he's that friend that just got healthy, and so now they try to like make everybody else healthy. Jelani is that guy. Like we at Sheets, I'm enjoying my French fries and soda. Jelani's like, you gonna eat that? Yes, I am. Gonna eat that. All right, so our last scenario is I've been sober for 6 months, but I still think about drinking or getting high almost every day. Brenda, is that a sobriety issue or not?
Definitely a sobriety issue. It's your brain trying to bring you back to the addiction because the brain likes it so much, and maybe they haven't explored, like we said, you got to replace it with a healthy habit. You have to move through it because if you only have happy memories when you were high or intoxicated, you're always going to feel like, oh, that's the only way I can have fun, or that's the only way I can numb myself, or a lot of people are not prepared to deal with all the baggage that they have, and that's why they do alcohol and drugs. But yeah, it's definitely a sobriety issue. That's something that if they have a good support network, they could ask their friends that have gone through this stage, because 6 months your brain is still detoxing, your body's still detoxing, you're trying to change the way you think and see and feel about the world. That's a lot of change in a short period of time.
Yeah, definitely. Jelani, scenario for you. A friend tells me I have a problem, but I don't think I do. Sobriety issue or not?
I would say it's a sobriety issue. I guess it would also be it would depend on the relationship with the friend, because if the friend isn't very involved in your life, they might not know, like that. Hey, this isn't like for me. Like I'm a person who like have struggled with alcoholism before, but like I like to drink more when I travel. So some of my wife's friends would see me when we travel, be like, Jelani really likes to drink, and be like, my wife would be like, no, like he hasn't drank for a month. This is just his first all inclusive resort. And
Mm,
I think that I'm trying to normalize it, but I also don't. I guess I don't want people to judge me if they're not in my life in a consistent manner.
got
Like if you only see me on Christmas and like I'm drinking, that doesn't mean like I drink every day.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely. So you're saying people don't judge you based off your trips, judge you based off what you do at home.
Right, like I paid for that all inclusive. I gotta use those.
I got you.
Right.
YOLO. All right. This has been fantastic, y'all. Brenda, for people who first time hearing you, they say they in the process, maybe want to get some therapy or they maybe want to start their sober journey. Where can people find you and connect with you?
Instagram would be the easiest. Brenda Joy Lauer. You can just direct message me. I'd be glad to talk to you. And also, that there's apps and there's websites, and if you don't know if you're ready or if you just want more information, there's sober apps. Dr. Daniel Ammon, on his website, he has like quizzes that you can take to see what kind of brain type you are, because he's a big proponent of a lot of people have brain injuries and we're not diagnosing them, because a simple slip and fall, brain injury. And that can be that makes it harder to get sober. So it's good to have your medical health figured out as well as your mental health. They all intertwine, as you know.
Yes, we have definitely been talking about that. Okay. All right, Brenda. Well, thank you so much. Like she said, if you want to connect with her, got questions, send her a DM on Instagram.
Or even on this account that we're on today, my dog's account.
Or even on TikTok here as well. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out. Don't be afraid. She will respond to you.
And there's no judgment. None.
No judgment. I only judge. She don't judge. All right, Brenda. Thank you so much for being on, and I will talk to you later.
Alrighty, such a pleasure. Thank you.
And Jelani, comedian Jelani, did you need anything to promote? Any upcoming shows?
Yeah, I'm doing a show at the Congressional Cemetery in July, so want to check that out. I also have a series on Instagram called Jokes on the Rock. Jokes on the Rocks, where we do comedy cocktails. I'm happy to provide mocktail versions of anybody who wants to continue their sober journey.
Hold on, time out, pause. Are you coming on an episode about sobriety to promote?
No, it's Jokes on the Rocks. It's like cocktails inspired by comedians.
Yes, I understand that, Jelani.
But can be made without alcohol. You know.
Yeah, this audio. Okay, go ahead, Jelani.
So, like, if you want to recommend a mocktail or a comedian mocktail, it's Jokes on the Rocks. It doesn't have to be alcohol. It's Jokes on the Rocks, not alcohol on the rocks.
Oh my god.
So if you want to suggest a comedian to make a mocktail, I can do that. You know, like a sober comedian. Like I can make a Vaughn special.
Okay, all right. So if anybody here sober want a mocktail, because once again we talked about not focus on what you can't have, focus on what you can have. You can have a mocktail. So reach out, watch Jelani, some of his content online, and he can also probably, if you DM him, he can tell you how to make some mocktails at home.
I definitely can.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, Jelani.
All right, Vaughn.
All right, y'all. That was so dope, man, having everybody on tonight. Before we get out of here, I just want to go over some affirmations because we always do the affirmations at the end. She said the Mocktail King in the chat, Black Girl Lux. So we do our affirmations at the end. So I got 3 affirmations based upon sobriety. My first one is, I am not my urges and I am stronger than my impulses. My second affirmation is, every day I choose awareness, growth, and self-control over old habits. Third one is, progress is not perfection. Healing happens one decision at a time. All right, everyone. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Once again, we do this every Monday at 10 p.m. We talk about mental health, self-awareness, and ways that we can grow. We always bring our professional licensed therapists on here so that we can actually get educated, learn, and take things to the next level. So please join us next week here at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on TikTok Live. Y'all have a good night.